What's up guys, it's your favorite Kivy Coach. If you're watching this, you're watching video number 5 of the FlightScope setup tutorial series. In this video, we're going to talk about the data points of curvature, giving you guys the basic definitions, as well as maybe giving you guys some ideas on how to use these data points when you're out there practicing with our FlightScope. So without further ado, let's go do this thing. So let's start with the data point of spin axis. So what is spin axis? Spin axis is very simple. So when you hit the golf ball, it's spinning backwards. Now, typically, when most of you guys are hitting the golf ball, not only is it spinning backwards, but it's also kind of tilted while spinning backwards. Now, whatever direction and degree that it's tilted is going to be pretty much which direction and then how much the golf ball is going to curve. So in this particular example, it has 13.3 degrees of tilt to the right. So that means that the golf ball is going to curve off to the right, and that's pretty much spin axis. So let me kind of show you an example of that, and we'll go over to 3D trajectory, and you can see the curvature of the golf ball. And as you can see, it curves off to the right. So again, the more tilted, the more curvature, as well as faster club head speeds with more tilting is going to go much more curvature as well, right? So that's something to kind of think about when you're thinking about your spin axis. All right, let's move on to lateral. Lateral really simply is when the golf ball actually lands, how far away is the golf ball from the target line or the reference line that FlightScope is using. If we go back to the 3D trajectory mode, you're going to see that FlightScope has pretty much a straight white line that goes out towards the distance. Now, a lot of you guys are probably thinking, hey, Kiwi Coach, do I need to hit this white line? And I think that's a natural instinct or a natural reaction when you guys first get a FlightScope or first get a TrackMan and want to do. However, that's not necessarily what you have to do. And let me kind of break this down for you. What I currently recommend my players to do is, when you're trying to track your golf swing, I want you to set the sweet spot of the golf club up to that white line, take your normal setup, and then start making your normal golf swing. Don't try to hit the ball straight, just try to hit the golf ball how you normally hit it. Now what FlightScope is going to do, it's going to track where the golf ball lands relative to that target line, and that's going to become your lateral deviation. So let me give you an example of how this could be applicable on the golf course. So let's say if I hit about 20 shots, and let's say the average of those 20 shots is right around 5 yards to the right of the target line. Well, if I'm on the golf course and let's say the pin is in the center of the green and I want to hit that pin, I'm going to be aiming 5 yards left because I know on average I'm typically going to miss the ball 5 yards right of wherever I'm aligning, right? This is how this can become very, very powerful for you out on the golf course, especially if you spend the time, hit about 20 to 50 shots, and really gather a great database of lateral deviation. You can start becoming better in tune with what you're currently doing, and that can actually make it a lot easier to score out there on a golf course. All right, moving on to the next data point. So the next data point is going to be club path. Now, club path you've probably heard before in my YouTube videos, but I'm going to explain it one more time here. It's where the sweet spot is traveling relative to that target line. So it could be traveling straight to that target line, it could be traveling to the left of that target line, and it could also be traveling to the right of that target line. Again, really specifically, it's measured at the moment of impact. That's very, very important. Now, this particular shot, the player was swinging 5.1 degrees to the left of the target line at the moment of impact. That means that that is an out to in club path. Now, if he had been swinging 5.1 degrees to the right of the target line, that would have been an in to out club path, and that would have had an R as opposed to an L there. So L is to the left, R is to the right. Okay, so now you're probably thinking, hey, Kiwi Coach, I've heard you say before, club path and face angle is going to create your curvature. Kind of how does that work out? Well, let's go transition into talking about face to target, which is FlightScope's way of saying face angle, and we're going to break that down for you just a little bit further. So like I just said there, face to target is actually FlightScope's way of saying face angle. I believe there's some copyright issues, and there's a reason why they can't use face angle, because TrackMan did it first maybe. I'm not quite sure, but just know that face to target actually means face angle. Now in this particular shot, this player's face to target or face angle was 3.2 degrees to the right of the target line, right? So just like club path, it could be pointing to the right of the target line, it could be pointing straight of the target line, and it could also be pointing to the left of the target line. Again, this player was 3.2 degrees to the right. So let's kind of break this player's current club path and face angle down. I want you guys to kind of memorize like a little X and Y graph. Visualize that for me real quick, because this is going to make it a whole lot more simple to understand. So club path is currently 5.1 degrees to the left, right? So go on the y-axis, 5 degrees over to the left. Face to target or face angle is 3.2 degrees to the right. So go over 3.2 degrees to the right on that y-axis. And you're going to notice that the face angle or the face to target is right of the club path. And because of that case, the golf ball is actually going to curve off to the right. So whenever the face to target or face angle is right of the club path, the golf ball will always curve off to the right. Whenever it is left of the club path, the golf ball will always curve off to the left. That is basic face to path understanding. And you can actually see face to path in an actual data point. FlightScope does it for you, which is really nice of them. And you can see this resembled right here. So if you see face to path, it says 8.3 degrees to the right. So that means that the face to target in this particular shot was 8.3 degrees to the right of the club path. The greater the face to path number, the more curvature the golf ball is going to have. The smaller the face to path number, the smaller the amount of curvature the golf ball is going to have. Pretty much your face to path is going to show you pretty close to what your spin axis is going to be. There's actually a formula. I'm not going to give it to you guys because FlightScope automatically does it for you, but there's a formula that if you know your face to path, you can pretty much find out your spin axis. Okay, so moving on into more of the player applicable side, like how can I actually use these data points to practice out there on the golf course or out there on the range, wherever I'm doing it at. Let's say I always hit a slice, right? Golf ball is always curving off to the right. It's been something that's been plaguing me for years, and I took a lesson maybe for me. We fixed it in the lesson, but then after the lesson, you started hitting the slice again. You're super frustrated. You're like, what the hell's going on? Well, luckily for you, hopefully you took this rental program and got the FlightScope, and now you're going to be able to kind of figure out what was going on. So most likely, if you're hitting a slice, you're going to see a club path that's probably to the left. Now, it doesn't have to be. You can actually hit a slice with a club path to the right and hit a push slice, but most of you guys out there are probably going to have a negative club path, and then the face angle opens that, and then kick your slices. But what you can do is, when you're hitting your shots out of the range, you're going to start seeing where your club path is. You're like, oh, this is a negative club path. Oh, my face to target is right of that club path. Okay, that's why I'm hitting my slice. So then what you can do then is, you can do one of two things. You could either try to get your club path more to the right and then hopefully keep your face to target left of that club path to produce that draw shot we talked about in the lesson, or you might try to close your face first, hit pull hooks, and then try to shift your path. Those could be some options, but ultimately what you're going to do is, you're going to try to change these numbers, and it's really simple. If you're swinging too far left, and you want to swing more right, just try to overdo it, go to the other side, right? That's what we talk about in the lessons all the time, and then see where that produces, and then work your way back if you need to, or if you feel super extreme and you only shifted about maybe to +1 into out, then that's probably the feeling you got to feel. But again, we've already gone over this in lessons. It's getting to the other side and then working your way back. That's how you can fix it, but this is really cool because you can actually see if you are fixing it, which these are very small degrees. So this is something you would never be able to see in an actual 2D camera. You need something like FlightScope or TrackMan to be able to track this. So luckily for you guys, you have the FlightScope and you can now practice on your curvature effectively. So anyways, that's pretty much wraps up this video number 5 on curvature data points. In the next video, we're actually going to be talking about data points that affect trajectory. This is more so maybe more of an advanced players type of video in the next one, but for you guys who are just starting out that want to learn a little bit more about it while you're using the FlightScope, definitely check out that video as well. But I'll see you guys in the next video.